Welcome back, everybody. Got a great video for you today with Axis Alive, an OG in the crypto space, OG and Hex as well. Really an awesome guy when it comes to liquidity providing and in-depth knowledge on just all kinds of technicals, technical analysis, but also just how crypto works under the hood when it comes to DeFi, decentralized finance. But man, it's been a crazy couple of days, couple of weeks in the ecosystem. We had a giant crash. We might be on the way out, right? Like, I don't want to speak too soon, but Ethereum's recovered back to 2,700 after going as low as 2,100. And I think all of our eyes are on Ethereum right now, PulseChain being heavily tied to that, to the success of Ethereum. And yeah, there was a big market scare, but there's all kinds of bullish things to still look forward to. My thesis has not changed in terms of my bullishness. I don't think we're in for a great recession because I do believe that governments everywhere will print their way out of anything using whatever terminology they want, bond buybacks, lowering interest rates, whatever it might be. But there are better times ahead, and I firmly believe that. I know you're optimistic as well. For people that don't know you, let's give a little introduction.
Yep, I think most Crypto Coffee viewers probably know me by now, but if you don't, welcome to the greatest gold rush on earth. This is true decentralized freedom movement, the first I think fork of Ethereum that actually has a shot at being the biggest liquidity base that DeFi's ever seen. And it's young. It's basically the opportunity of a lifetime. And I'm here because I started in crypto in 2017 as a Bitcoin and Ethereum miner. I did the whole thing. I built the data center. I got the electrical grid figured out. I filled it up with like 60 ASIC miners and 140 GPUs. And I was looking for like that. I was fascinated and inspired by the fact that we could finally legally print money and take our power back from the government. The thing that we handed over to the Fed in 1913, and before that, even in the 1800s, we gave away our right to create our own currency through the U.S. Treasury. And so I think, like, for me, when I discovered cryptocurrency, it really opened up a whole new avenue of prosperity for not only just American citizens, but across the globe. And so fast forward to 2021, Bitcoin was at the highs, around $64,000, and I was able to offload or sell my mining facility because I saw such a bright future in decentralized finance, and that this was really going to be where cryptocurrency succeeded and really took us to that next level.
Yeah, what people don't realize is, like, for the new guys watching, I always hope that there's new guys watching because we talk a lot, and for new people, the feedback that I always get is, hey, nobody understands what the fuck you're talking about. Like, slow it down, try to, explain it a little bit slower. But decentralized finance, what we're doing here is essentially recreating the entire financial system that has basically been inflating your purchasing power away every single year. And all countries are doing this. The USA is just doing it a little more slowly than every single other country, but they're all devaluing your purchasing power. And the reason that I think both of us care so much about this particular issue is because it underpins every other human right. The ability to transact with money. Money is freedom of speech. Money literally is speech because you vote with your dollars on where you get to go, what you say, what you buy, the types of products, goods, and services that become popular. And if those get censored, right, crypto offers a way out of that censorship resistance. Or if those get debased, crypto offers a store of value as a way out of that debasement. So yeah, crypto really is only good for a couple of things: censorship resistance and store of value. But it also allows
cross-border payments, 24/7, 365 markets.
Yeah, it allows us to recreate the system it's just better money. It's a better way of doing things. And the world hasn't fully caught up to that fact yet. So this is the greatest asymmetric play of our lifetime, the greatest wealth transfer in human history, from the people that get it early to eventually the late adopters who will be buying, 10, 15 years from now, because that's just the way that businesses are going to eventually work. Like, the whole world is going to move to crypto, whether it's a centralized crypto or a decentralized crypto, just like the whole world moved to the internet. And whether you've got the Chinese version of the internet, heavily censored, great firewall, or you've got, the American Google and stuff, which is slightly less censored, but still, but if you know what to do on the internet, like, you can have a lot more freedom in our lives. I'd like to think are better for the having freedom of information. Yes, maybe we live in a more polarized time, but we do have access to information and data at our fingertips, in our magic rectangles in our hand, faster than ever before. So if the internet did that to information, crypto is doing this to value transfer. And we're big fans of real crypto, because there's a lot of fake crypto out there that I don't really like to talk about. But, Bitcoin is probably sufficiently decentralized. So is Ethereum. And so are things like Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX, which literally have no off switch. That's the most important part about all this stuff. No one can turn them off. No one can take them away from you. There's no cabal of, 5 guys with a multi-sig wallet that if they all agree to change the rules or sneak in through the back door, then they can take everyone's money. There's none of that. They've got a stable coin, which is basically a crypto version of a US dollar. But guess what? The stable coin, the company that issues it, has a backdoor that if they want to, they can blacklist any user's address from being able to spend their coins. So that's not real crypto, right? That's not why crypto was invented. Now, it's useful to have these dollar-pegged stable coins, but I prefer the stuff that's more free, and it's also got way more price potential because we're still so early.
Yeah, I'm with you on every point, and it's an important thing that humans get back their right, their freedom to transact and to do it with anyone they want, anywhere, anytime, and to not have to jump through so many hoops. And I think it really hits you when you're in need of some cash, or like you need or you're looking to receive a payment, and you can actually just like text somebody or call somebody up, and then doesn't matter the value. It could be $100. It could be $100 million. You can actually receive that instantly through the power of cryptocurrency. I'm not saying instantly. Let's say 13 seconds or less on PulseChain, which is pretty damn instant. I mean, imagine how valuable it is to be able to send $100 million in 13 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I bet this has happened to people out there listening, but like the traditional financial system sucks balls. Like it's terrible. Like how many times has Zelle, you try to transfer money from one bank to someone else's bank, and then you try to transfer, let's say, $5,000 for a rent payment. And they're like, sorry, that exceeds your daily limit or your weekly limit. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, let me send my money the way I want to send my money. I'm not doing anything illegal here. I want to pay my rent. And like, the avenues, the middlemen, right? Venmo, Cash App, they have these daily limits or these weekly limits. And also, if they happen to not like somebody that you sent money to, they could shut your account off, which is even worse, right? But just the typical day-to-day nuisance of having to, not being able to send your money when you want to, that shouldn't be the way we have to live. So this increases people's quality of life.
I think to that point, we just had here in the PulseChain universe, we've seen the Coast guys, which is the first ever like fully real stablecoin on PulseChain. They just got their partnerships with a bank called Old Glory Bank, and that's available in all 50 states. And that's important because I think that where this is headed is cryptocurrency is so powerful, it's going to force banks to have to bend to the will of crypto. And so in this case, like with this Old Glory Bank, these guys are serious about libertarian values and like the freedom to transact and stuff. And they're really on board with that. And it's even, you can even see it in their technology. So like in their banking app, they've made it, there's no fee to wire transfer. So that's already them saying like, we're not going to charge you if you want to wire transfer. And in the crypto world, oftentimes you'll wire transfer money in to crypto. And so like they're just making the banks that are going to remove all the friction are going to be the closest to the money, because the new money is crypto. And so, yeah, we're seeing this revolution happening at the banking level too.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard something about the Estonian bank, like National Bank was the first ever to integrate crypto like natively into their banking app. But in the next 10 years, we're going to have to see JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, all these mainstream banks are going to have to start offering their users some level of crypto, kind of like Venmo already lets you buy, paper Bitcoin, fake Bitcoin, right, until you withdraw it. Cash App lets you buy Bitcoin. Venmo lets you buy Ethereum. PayPal lets you buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the major ones. So these fintech apps are catching up. But what Axis is talking about is pretty revolutionary. There's a huge new exchange that just launched for PulseChain specifically. So shout out to the team at 0xcoast.com. If you guys don't have an account here yet and you want to buy Hex PulseChain INC token, all these tokens that we think are going to go up a whole bunch, after Ethereum goes up. If you want to buy these tokens, this brand new exchange just launched. It's available worldwide, every other country. It doesn't have to be the USA, but the hardest roadblock, which is also like the greatest achievement for this ecosystem so far, is that they got basically a banking partner that is licensed to do business in all 50 states. And if you guys haven't been paying attention, to the political climate and all that, the USA is not the friendliest country. In fact, it's probably one of the least friendly right now. And a lot of crypto companies or crypto adjacent companies are incorporating outside of the USA because there's no clear laws and people don't want to get in trouble from all these arbitrary lawsuits that the SEC is throwing out and all this crazy stuff happening because nobody knows the rules and everyone's kind of fighting for power and control and making up rules as they go along. But shout out to Coast, right? GainPulseChain.com. Sign up with my link. You get 5,000 free weight tokens. Gives you cheaper fees when you're buying it. GainPulseChain.com. Shameless plug. And I'm not just plugging that because, you get 5,000 free tokens. I get 5,000 free tokens. I also I use the app. I love the app. It works great. And I've been testing it since they got their license again and their partnership with Old Glory Hole Bank, and it works again. And it's just like it used to work. But, they had like a 4 or 5 months where they weren't working because, it's like whack-a-mole, right? Like you have one banking partnership and you think everything's all good. And then they cancel on you. And so you got to scramble to find another one. So from what I hear, they've also got backups in case it happens again. And we've also been working on tons of redundancy. Like, the PulseChain Foundation just got us listed on, alchemypay.org. So that was an initiative that I kind of spearheaded. You can buy PulseChain now with Google Pay, Apple Pay, Visa, MasterCard, all this stuff, for a small fee. You can go to changenow.io. You can go to portalxswap.io, if you want to transfer some coins from one blockchain into PulseChain. So there's at least like 5 or 6 on-ramps now. We got pulseln.com. So you can actually use Cash App to buy Bitcoin and then convert that Bitcoin directly into PulseChain on pulseln.com. Then you've got the OG method, right? Just buy Ethereum, bridge it over. So, I've got videos on all these and I'm going to keep making more videos, but I believe we've got 6 on-ramps now and the gates seem to be coming down. So, when the hordes come back to be buying crypto, it's good to have as many different buying options for as many different people as possible. Because, I recommend first and foremost that you make, a gainpulsechain.com account. But if that's not your style, if for whatever reason you don't want to do that, maybe you just want to pay an extra little 5% fee and buy with Apple Pay right on your iPhone. Well, we've got alchemypay.org. You can buy $2,000 at a time. So it's a really exciting time to be in crypto right now because when you look at the PulseChain ecosystem, what the community is doing, how they're innovating and they keep pressing forward despite just lackluster prices. It's been a year-long buying opportunity, right? And the community's only gotten stronger. Like things have only been getting built, right? Yeah, there's been some, value extractors or whatever you want to call them. Some scams here and there, but the immune system of the community typically weeds that kind of stuff out. And what we're seeing is just everything is taking shape right now. And it's a really fun place to be a part of.
It's the biggest thing going on in crypto that's no one's talking about. There's a couple chains that I'm interested in, but PulseChain is like my main focus. And it's because we're heavily invested in this thing because we really believe in the mission, right? That's ultimately what it is. And so for the opportunity for you guys is just as good as it is for us because we're at the lowest prices on PulseChain that you're going to probably get this cycle.
People listening today are getting lower prices than most of us got at our, sacrifice, right? Or pre-sale, whatever, sacrifice. So yeah, I'm still here chilling it and I'm still adding to my position every now and then.
Well, it's going to become really, really clear. For example, if you're just a normie listening to this, it's going to become really clear if you have trouble making payments somewhere or your bank shuts down or something happens and there's friction there. If there's an alternative there's 0 friction and it's got 100% uptime, you're at some point enough shitty shit's going to happen to you that you're going to eventually start looking for an alternative. And this is one of those alternatives.
Yeah, it's already happening to you right now. Just look at what, your grocery bill from 3 years ago, right? I don't know if you still have a grocery bill from 3 years ago, but if you do, take a look at it and then look at the same amount of groceries and what those would cost today. It's like 4 times higher than it even was 2 or 3 years ago. So if inflation was, 4x higher, basically if goods and services, right? If food got 4 times higher, but you're only making what? 10, 20% more. Maybe you got a 10% raise in the last 2 years. That is not nearly enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. So this is the way out. And you could talk about all that stuff that you might have been lucky enough to learn in school. Schools don't even teach finance, which they should. But if they do, they're going to teach you the most lame shit like, oh, savings account with 0.1% APY and save money. If you're saving money, you're losing money. If that's all you're doing, if it's not working for you. So you need to be getting into an asset that actually has the potential to outpace inflation. The stock market's fine. If you want to have like a diversified index funds, Vanguard and iShares, all these different index funds, like go to, Betterment or Wealthfront. They have these auto rebalancing portfolios. That's going to net you, anywhere from 5 to 10% a year on average. And then you're kind of just staying afloat with inflation because inflation really is higher than 10% some years. So
yeah, I mean, Shadow Stats, I don't know if you guys have heard of Shadow Stats before, but this is like a place that they price, they display inflation based on the old 1980s methodology. And so if you actually account for the way we used to measure inflation as a country, you could actually see it closer to 18%.
Really? And I know Trueflation, truflation.com, shows us that we're at about 25% in the past couple. I don't know if that was like a 3-year aggregate, and obviously the sectors impacted most are like oil and food. And the ones that hit the people the most are like oil and food because you have to drive to work, you got to feed your family. Maybe some other sectors bring the average down, but they should be weighting, oil and food higher because that's what you see, at the gas station, or that's what you see at the grocery store.
Yeah, it's like in the PulseChain, for example, if you sacrificed Hex in the last cycle for Pulse or PulseX, and you put it in the farms, and today you'd be up base versus that 25% debasement of your purchasing power because, for God forbid, you stopped working. So a lot of you probably kept working. So you're still earning a wage, and if that wage increased by 10%, and your Pulse and PulseX bags are, let's say, down 50%, but you've earned like 50% of the amount of units back, you're actually still up there in bull market prices where you're really living at like a 7 to 14 cent Hex valuation from last cycle now. If you took that bet. And so I think that it's good to frame this in the right way that, it's been only 3 short years on a long enough time frame, 10 to 20 years from now. Your PulseChain bags are going to save you from this problem, this systemic problem, because there are options in the system to try to help curb those the downside of price and help also beat that debasement of currency. Dude, people underestimate the power of accumulating as many units of these cryptocurrencies at the lows as possible. They think that price is low, that's bad. Actually, price is low is good as so long as there's a community here that's buying it, and they are there. You can see it on the price chart. The volume's been pretty good. I mean, this chain, for example, I hope this makes sense, guys. If as long as you understand market cap, you'll understand this analogy. If PulseChain's top 4 coins, which is the Richard Hart stuff, it's got a market cap of, let's say, 1.8 billion to maybe 2 billion. And there's about 90 to 100 million dollars backing the value of that chain, the main assets, then that really means that there's about a 1 to 20 ratio of liquidity backing the actual total market cap, which is a big difference from like Ethereum, where there's about $3 to $4 billion on chain, but the market cap is $400 billion. So that discrepancy is something that's going under the radar, and that's your opportunity to get in at the ground floor on a chain that's going to be very much well funded after you see the big wave that's coming.
Yeah, big picture stuff is like, if you look at liquidity like that, if you understand the amount of assets backing, the actual units, the actual crypto units, it's not very much in PulseChain. Lower liquidity means things can pump higher. It also means they can dump harder, but it means that it takes way less money coming in to have epic, 10x, 100x, even 1000x pumps are possible. Now, will we get there? Maybe not, but I think we'll probably land somewhere in the hundreds, maybe even 1,000 from bottom to top. And these types of returns are possible. Like they're not. I think what trips people up is they say, "Oh, how can I be sure this crypto is going to be the one?" There's 10,000, there's 10 million shit coins out there, meme coins that people can create every single day. And really, what it comes down to, like I always say this, but it's an attention economy, right? A lot of people that are newbies, they might fall for all kinds of different traps of, oh, if I'm in these meme coin groups early, but then you're still not even early enough because you're not an insider. Or, oh, if this coin has the better tech, I've always seen this one. People think better tech makes a coin go up. It doesn't. In fact, often better tech on coins like Arbitrum and Starkware and all this stuff, that just means that they've had insider VCs buy the coin early, and they're marketing to the pleb retail person that thinks that that the best tech wins, or that the best tech goes up. We've seen enough good tech come and go and not really do much gains. You want a community still talking about it after years and years. You want a community that's literally locked in, right? Like the Hex community that basically bootstrap PulseChain. And people say locked in. We're stuck here, man. But you also want a good founder, and you want good tech. Okay, you want the thing to actually work. You want the utility. PulseChain is pretty good tech as well. It's a fork of Ethereum. Ethereum is the most widely useful blockchain out there. It's just a parallel road to Ethereum. If Ethereum gets too expensive, you can always hop over to PulseChain, and vice versa. It shares the load. So, Hex and PulseX are just two DeFi applications built on top of PulseChain, and they have the strongest fan club, I would say, just because cult of Richard Hart, partially, but also we're also locked here for 15 years. So,
I mean, like right now, being a PulseChain fan and supporter feels a lot like being the Chicago Bears for 20 years. But eventually, they had a comeback, right? Everyone has
hopefully
a comeback.
Not the Cubs. Hopefully not the 100-year.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be the Cubs. PulseChain is not the Cubs, guys. Let's get that right.
Everybody's gonna have their season, right? Like everything will pump in the bull, really. I mean, by everything, I don't mean the 90% of shit coins that die after 2 weeks.
The thing that your viewers are going to really wonder is, like, how do you know that this one is a good one? Like the closest thing to blue chip. Like, how do you know?
You got to look under the hood. You have to see who's building, see who's here. And when you get sucked into like the vortex of the PulseChain community, it's not like these other ones. I've dipped into Solana. I've dipped into, Base. They've got the occasional meme coin community that's slightly a little bit active, but it doesn't come even close to what's evolving organically and grassroots in PulseChain. You've got people forking good DeFi protocols, making memes. You've got NFT artists over here. And yes, you've got a lot of infighting, people yelling at other people and drama and all this stuff, but at least they're still here talking, right? On Solana, you've got, a bunch of Jeets in India that are literally scamming like people in first world countries by shitting out, 50 coins a day, pretending to have like influencers backing them and all these attention. They're basically, there's a lot of scammers over there, and there's scammers in PulseChain too, but man, they're just rampant in all of crypto. So it is like a minefield, right? It's really hard.
Well, here's the thing. Here's one that's obvious, and you brought it up. It's, Solana versus PulseChain. When you're doing a comparative look at them, Solana is like very centralized on the technical level. And so like that blockchain can actually be shut down in the same way your bank can shut off your bank account. That's not cryptocurrency. Like cryptocurrency is like PulseChain, where like no human being on earth can shut off the blockchain. No, even a group of human beings can't get together, because you'd have to stop every last validator from running, of which there's like 50,000 of them running by now. And that's only going to grow as the price grows. You're only going to have more validators, not less.
Yeah. And on a technical level, that is all you should care about. I mean, can somebody stop this, right? Look at all these L2s. I mean, first of all, the L2 chains, if they do have a token, they haven't really been that price performative. They haven't done that well anyway. But on top of that, they're mostly operated by a single sequencer, single middleman, that if he goes down, right, if his node goes down, none of the transactions, they're all going to get delayed. They can't get rolled back up to the main chain. Or theoretically, the sequencer could censor transactions, right? That's not real crypto. That's kind of like ambiguous, semi-hybrid centralization, decentralization. But there's some things that I want to be an absolutist on personally, and that is the censorship resistance part of it. Because look, man, like the election's coming up, you see all kinds of games being played with the gatekeepers of the information. Look at Google, look at Meta, look at, if you go to Instagram and Facebook, you're not going to see a lot of content about the other side that the people that own Facebook don't want, have a bias against. You really aren't. If you go on Twitter, like you see both sides like pretty equally. But of course, depending on your algorithm, you basically just get fed more polarizing stuff. But I'm getting off topic. You want something where you can't end up in a dystopian future, or you can't have it become so big that all of a sudden the government says, hey, this coin's getting too big. We better shut this thing off. Like with PulseChain, that you can't do that. The probability of that happening is like 0.0001%. It's like very, very low because of the nature of how it's built.
Yeah, and we're gonna see something happen to Solana this cycle that's gonna wreck a lot of people, and it's gonna destroy a lot of the volume on it. Mark my word.
What do you think that is?
I don't know what that event will be, but I just know that it's inevitable because of the rocky foundation that it's on.
Well, you've got all these validators on Solana that are owned by centralized companies. And although it might not be a single person that can shut down or pause Solana, it's like one conference call away from being shut down. Like it's Ledger calls up Coinbase, calls up all the validators. There's not many validators. I think it's like something in the thousands. And many of these are owned by corporations, right? Not individuals, not people distributed across the globe. And on top of that, they brag high speed transaction times, but we've seen when things do heat up on chain, a lot of transactions up to 75% actually fail because, things always perform better in an isolated laboratory environment than they do in the wild. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's an interesting try, with like parallel processing transactions. It's like, it's a layer one blockchain that tried to do something different, but to this day, I don't see it becoming. I think it sacrifices too much of the ideals of what crypto is supposed to be in terms of centralization.
Yeah. And so what makes me feel confident that PulseChain is different than something like that is because it's built on this. It's the same exact code base as Ethereum, which has been around for nearly a decade. And it's proven that it works. It works so well that the gas fees when things are really hot go up to like $500, $600, $700 to do simple actions on the blockchain. And so not only does the code work, it works so well that it's very expensive to use. And so PulseChain is the same code base. It's the same thing, except it acts like a release valve for Ethereum, so that if things get too bad on the main chain, the other layer one, it's twin turbo copy, that you can redistribute the load across the other copy chain. And because of the nature of how, and this is something I really urge you guys to dig into and try to understand, is because of this concept of bonded liquidity, it opens up the door for the coins on Ethereum and the coins on PulseChain to live in harmony when they're connected together, so that they can flow up and down together, and they create this like more emergent connected marketplace across two separate layer ones. And I think it's going misunderstood or just not fully taken advantage of yet, but that's your opportunity. So I encourage you guys to just look into this stuff and try to take your education to the next level on it, and just bare minimum, you have some ETH, and if you like ETH and you like what we're saying, or you feel for it, like go get some Pulse.
Yeah, you can get 50% ETH, 50% Pulse, stick it in a yield farm, and make 40% APY. So if you've got $100,000 out there and you don't want to bet the whole farm on PulseChain, well, you could bet on Ethereum and you could bet on PulseChain. I think they're both going to go up. I think because liquidity is lower on Pulse, I think it's going to skyrocket faster when the time comes. But if you don't want to have to pick and try to be right, why not get paid 40% APY, right, in the form of INC token on app.pulsex.com. I've got all kinds of videos about that. A lot of people, look, I know it's a review for a lot of people, right?
Well, but it's not for a lot of people, because the main concern I'm hearing is, PulseChain's just too hard. And that's why Coffee's out here spitting out these videos. So he's going to go ahead and put in the description below a bunch of videos about how to do different stuff, how to bridge in, how to swap, how to use liquidity. And we're trying to cover all the bases for you guys, so you can learn the basic skill set you need. It's really not that hard. It's more of just scary trying to try something new. It's not that hard. Yeah. It's just a few button clicks and you're good to go.
It's also the scariest when the prices are down. Like when the prices are up, it's like, it's literally confirmation bias. You feel better pressing the buy button because everybody bought it before you. And so, the crowd must know something that I don't. Actually, no. The crowd, by the time you're buying and the price is up 10x, 20x, you might be too late, right? So congrats if you're here now listening. And I know it's not easy to press buy when the price is down 60%, right, from the sacrifice rate, I suppose. But if you're not looking at the dip as an opportunity and seeing this on a multi-year time frame, PulseChain's only a year and 3 months old, I believe. Maybe a year and 3 months. In the grand scheme of investing, that's not that long, right? If you want instant
It's an
gratification,
infant, man. It's just getting started, and people are totally looking over it. It's foolish.
yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be the underdog of the entire cycle, but we just got to get the message out there. I've said this before, but I think a matter of how high PulseChain pumps, and of course, everything that it's liquidity bonded to, meaning Hex and PulseX and INC, that's going to be a function of how many people we can educate and how much we can get the word out right now, so that when the time comes, all the search engines are primed, right? We've got all the videos in place. We've got all the buying protocols in place. We've got all the websites, all the exchanges. It's going to, if you want to buy PulseChain when the time comes, whenever you're ready to, hopefully there's going to be so much information out there that you won't have any problem at all. And if we weren't doing this all right now, if the time came for everything to pump, maybe PulseChain would do a 10x. But because of all the work the community is putting in, maybe that allows us to do a 50x, a 100x, a 500x, right? But it really is just how much can we become ubiquitous in the times when no one really gives a shit.
I think we can all agree that investing in anything is scary, and that the best investment decisions you're going to make is because you really understand what you're investing in. And to understand what you're investing in the crypto space, you need to understand that this entire market is actually just driven by one emotion, and that's fear. So you're either scared because you bought and the prices are down and you don't know how low it's going to go, or you're scared because the prices are going up vertically and you're scared because you're missing the pump and you just wish you could get in faster. And don't be that guy that ends up having to chase green candles that are literally going up, 100% a week, next year. Don't be that guy. Just get in now while, you're going to be scared one way or the other. You're going to have anxiety that things are going up too quickly without you and you missed the boat, or you're going to be scared that it could go lower. That's not how you play crypto. Crypto is a game where you kind of accumulate positions over long periods of time. You don't day trade this stuff. Not when you're just getting started. You just try to accumulate something that you understand foundationally over long periods of time.
Yeah, that's a mistake. How many times do you talk to people like normies in the real world, and you're like, "Hey, I do crypto and stuff," and they're like, "Oh, so you trade?" And it's like, no, I dedicate a lot of my time to telling people not to do that. Mm-hmm. They think they're synonymous. Crypto doesn't have to be trading. In fact, most traders do lose. The longer you stare at the screen and you try to time the market, especially if you're already stressed out and you have a day job, you're way better off just like not trading at all, buy and hold, invest over many months and years. And that's where the majority of people that actually won in crypto, that's how they did it, right? They made their millions, sometimes even like more, multiple millions, billions even. The best possible thing for Bitcoiners was to have bought Bitcoin in 2010 and forgotten about it for 14 years and woke up today and said, holy shit, my Bitcoin's $60,000. I got it for a penny. But how many people actually did that? Almost nobody. So, I mean, that's the basis of Hex, is saving yourself from yourself, right? Like, what does it really cost you to chuck in $500 and stake it for 7 years, 8 years?
What does it cost? Here's a better question, Coffee, is like, what does it cost you if you don't do that? For example, this is like really controversial right now because all that the market has experienced for the last 2.5 years is the Hex price dropped 99.8%. But that's not the end. And so what does it cost you if you don't buy Hex today and stake it for 15 years, let's say 5555, it's $1,000. And the way the math works, and if you want to learn more about this, go visit my channel or Crispy Man's channels from hexfire.io, because we do technical breakdowns and show you what ROIs and APRs look like on a long time frame, because you're able to reduce the math down so that you know exactly how many units at a minimum you will receive at the end of a commitment. If you stake Hex for 15 years, you are going to end up with more than 5x the amount of Hex that you got today. I don't think there's a world that we live in where over in the next 15 years that Hex doesn't trade at least 2x higher. That means it goes from a half a penny to 1 penny in 15 years from now. That would mean that it is less price performative than the debasement of your currency. That's not going to happen. That's a very low chance of that happening. So all you need to see is Hex go from a half a penny today to 1 penny in that amount of time. Plus you get 5x as many units. That's mathematically proven. And now you just did a 20x. I'm sorry, you just did a 10x. No, you did 5 times 2, 20, 10.
Yeah, times
10x your money.
Yeah.
So like if you want to 10x your money, look, if it goes to 2 cents, you just did 4 times that. So you 4 times 5 is 20. So like Hex already went to 56 cents once. PulseChain, if it's looking to do, I don't know, 50x, 100x levels, maybe higher, maybe a lot higher. If it's even willing to do 50x, because of that keyword bonded liquidity with Hex and Pulse, Hex gets a free ride. So even if there's no buyers, Hex goes up in USD price because it's connected to something that went up 50x.
And Hex is connected to Pulse, which is connected to Ethereum. So even if no one touches PulseChain, then PulseChain will go up along for the ride with Ethereum. Now, of course, when people buy Ethereum, they have what's called the wealth effect, right? When they get rich off of Ethereum, they go shopping. You know, if your Ethereum bag triples, quadruples, you say, oh, I'm pretty rich now, or I feel pretty rich, right? Like, what else should I go buy that can get me even more returns? You know, this is how people think. So once their Ethereum bag goes up and they're looking to go back into alt season, you know, PulseChain will be right there. It'll have already gone up. There'll be content all over the place. It's the pump is going to be primed.
Speculation is the number one motive for most people, and why crypto has gotten to where it is. It's because of speculation. And we have market makers on this chain that we saw it last time with Hex, and we saw it with Bitcoin before that. We have market makers that are skilled enough and understand speculation enough that they know how to make a chart, paint a chart in such a way that it does entice people to play the game.
You know, there's that meme, right, about Neo, like from the Matrix, and it's like,
love that one.
Telling me one day I can sell 1 million Hex for $1 million, and then Morpheus is just like, no, Neo, I'm telling you that when you're ready one day, you won't have to. And it's like, of course I want to sell for some cash. I cannot wait to cash out some of my crypto, but I don't think I'll ever fully be out of crypto if the world goes in the trend that it's been going, you know?
Well, we have proof of this because like inside of Ethereum right now, for example, you can actually collateralize your Ethereum. So if you bought Ethereum at $80 last cycle and it's now $2,600 or whatever, you're up many, many X's. You can lock that in a vault and borrow some stable coins against it. You're not really cashing out at that point. You're just putting your ETH away, storing it the same way you have been since the last low in 2018, just putting it away. And then you get to pull out some stable coins and then you can go deposit that in your bank account. So there's only going to be more alternative ways to get liquidity in your real life without having to hit the red button. And that's one of the things I love to talk about, because the opportunity is the whole world is going to invert on the technology. The technology is the future. It's not the cashing out. Like the cashing out is possible, right? We've seen that enough over the last 15 years of Bitcoin, and it will continue. I'm not saying that, but this next leg of the ETF cycle is all about stable coins. This is where you see the huge influx of billions in dollars of stable coins will be getting minted every single week. And that's where crypto sees the most growth, is when you're seeing the backing value inside on-chain value growing at an exponential rate.
Yeah. The US dollar is also moving on-chain slowly but surely. It's interesting how the CBDC fears have been playing out. I think there might be not just one winner take all, right? You might just have 3 giant powerhouses, DAI, USDT, USDC, and like maybe 4 or 5 smaller ones. But that's fine, because I think as long as the Fed can track the on-ramps for all the stable coins, and as long as they have representatives or insiders, you know, moles and all these agencies or all these corporations, I think that might just be how the world's going to look. Is you have your pick of a couple different stable coins. It's not just, you know, Fed dollar, right? It's not as dystopian as I thought. And more options is always better.
And you got like, and you're absolutely right. And this is a multi-chain world. It's also there's not going to be just one issuer of stable coins, because that's going to be a whole market unto itself, as it already is, and its nascent properties, but it will grow. And what I mean is, like Ripple, the company XRP that just got favorable judgment in their case against the SEC, they now want to get regulatory clarity on making their own stable coin called I think they called it RLUSD, so Ripple LUSD. I think it stands for Ripple Ledger USD. So I think they're going to create their own. It already exists on the ERC20 on the Ethereum blockchain, ready to send out the first initial batch. Nice. But they need that, the clarity first, and then they're also going to issue it on their native blockchain on Ripple. And so if you have cryptocurrency guys working together like that and trying to just distribute as much stablecoin liquidity as physically possible, they can borrow money from a large organization, pay a certain interest rate on that, then deploy that stable coins into the chains and earn a yield on that. And then they're cash positive cash flow positive, if they're able to pay off their debts in a meaningful way. And this just continues to balloon and grow the amount of on-chain stablecoin liquidity because it becomes a business in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's not forget the smaller ones. You've got like TUSD or Paxos dollar. Everybody wants to get their hands their own stablecoin because they get to capture the fees from all the volume that they do over there. It's a pretty lucrative business. But on top of that, like another lucrative business, you guys have probably been hearing about the ETF Mania. And so we've entered this realm of crypto that, 5 years ago would have been very hard to believe. If you said, oh, there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF one day in 2024, people would be like, oh, the government will never allow that, or whatever FUD of the day, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now we live in a post-ETF world, not only for Bitcoin, but for Ethereum too. It's pretty clear that they're going to also start doing this for other big chains. Solana, who knows? Maybe it'll be Near Protocol, maybe even Dogecoin, right? Everyone's going to get an ETF. You get an ETF, you get an ETF, because they make money for people as long as it basically allows people to trade crypto in traditional financial ways. So if people don't want to, maybe a lot of boomers and stuff like that, if they don't want to download a crypto wallet and memorize their 12-word seed phrase and do crypto the right way, well, they can just go to their Interactive Brokers account, or they can go buy, some Bitcoin with their 401k, because now there's a representation of the price of Bitcoin trading as an ETF. So we now live in this crypto. I think one day we'll be talking about it like, BC and AD, right? Crypto before the ETFs. Wow, you guys remember that?
Yeah. Oh God, what a treacherous time. We thought it was going to zero, guys. We actually thought
people were actually unsure, like, is this shit actually going to work? This kind of solidified it, where it's just like, it's not going anywhere. Even Wall Street is in, even the government is in, right? Like, it's kind of too big to fail because incentives overline and everybody's greedy. Everybody wants a piece of the action. So it's kind of nice how that's worked out.
Yeah, crypto hit escape velocity last March when the banking failure started to come into place and Bitcoin printed a $10,000 candle in just a few days. That's when it was legitimized in the eyes of like the world, I think. And then it wasn't just a few months later going into this ETF launch. And here we got a second ETF already for Ethereum. So yeah. Bitcoin was the most successful ETF launch in the history of mankind. And that is now going to shake up the entire financial industry.
Yep. BlackRock is in. Okay. Larry Fink it's a $1 trillion asset management company. They own the entire world. All right. They fund both sides of the war. They own everything. Okay. If they're in, even Larry Fink, he's even bullish on Chainlink, like it's not going away. So I think these fears that normies have, like I literally talked to a guy the other day that thought that the government was still going to ban crypto, right? Some people just don't know because they're not educated. I had to laugh to myself because I'm like, the government's like, they own crypto. They're in crypto. It's
except
kind
Germany,
of the cat's out of the bag
because they got rid of it.
You can't put it back away, right? Pandora's out of the box. So it's like, because it's decentralized, yes, they're going to probably make their centralized cryptos to compete with it, but we're fighting to at least have that choice. And so anyway, back to the Ethereum ETF. So yeah, dude, everybody thought that was going to just pump the price of Ethereum overnight. I knew it wasn't. I knew that it was probably going to play out exactly like Bitcoin played out. If you looked at what happened when the Bitcoin ETF launched, there was a big dip. Then it went up a whole bunch. Okay. Ethereum, there was a big dip. I did not understand. I did not foresee the Japanese federal funds rate raising by 0.25%. I didn't see that collapsing like a whole bunch of illiquid, carry trade loans and stuff like that. But we've already kind of recovered since then. Bitcoin and Ethereum crashed 40% in a couple of weeks, from 34K all the way down to 3,400 down to 2,100. Now it's back to 2,700. And it seems to me like we're on that cusp, just like with the Bitcoin ETF, where this is very important, guys. Now that the outflows from Grayscale's old Ethereum trusts have stopped, and inflows can pick up into their new Ethereum trust. So the reason that the same thing happened with GBTC, Grayscale's Bitcoin. The same exact thing happened with ETHE, which is Grayscale's old Ethereum trust. Now, that old trust didn't have rights of redemption, meaning you couldn't directly convert it to Ethereum. So they had to sell all that, which put a dent in the price because, even though typically like it doesn't drive the price of Ethereum, if Grayscale is forced to liquidate all their ETHE, right? It's going to temporarily suppress the price of Ethereum. People are probably going to arbitrage that, on mainstream exchanges and stuff like that. But now that they're done, we finally just today reached a day of 0 outflows, which means probably inflows from here, right? If no more black swan event, fingers crossed. Outflows mean obviously money's going out. Inflows mean money's coming in. When you have a bunch of inflows coming into the new Grayscale ETF, again, they had to convert, right? They had to sell the old one and buy into the new one because they couldn't just redeem the old one for Ethereum. So it kind of puts a little divot in the price, but then you can resume the inflows, resume the bullish, the bull market again. So I don't want to, get overly optimistic here, but pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, whatever came to light about that jump trading situation, but
Dump trading.
Yeah, dump trading. They that might go down as one of the biggest blunders in the Ethereum position in history, where they unwound all their wrap staked ETH, which was earning an insane APR, and then just market dumped all the freaking ETH. And I mean, we're talking like, I think, billions of dollars of that.
They market dumped it to save their TradFi arm. I mean, it almost would have worked out better for them if they just fucking
let it die and then
defaulted on the TradFi and let the Ethereum rip.
Dude, this is crypto saving huge organizations from fucking bankruptcy, dude. This is how important cryptocurrency is, and Ethereum just saved an entire organization. But in the long run, and they'll be wrecked anyways because they sold their ETH too soon.
But they're going to be fine. They're just going to do what they've always done. They'll be fine for 20 more years, and maybe one day they'll fade into obscurity. But when you have so much assets under management, all you really need to do is make a tiny, tiny percentage point on the spread of billions of dollars. And so that's enough to pay everybody.
That's the holy grail that we're all trying to get to with PulseChain. Is like, you see all these coins popping up. All we want is like volume and users. That's all we want. And if you
that might be you one day. You might be the jump trading of tomorrow. You might be the hedge funds of tomorrow. People that get in now.
Oh, I hope I'm not the jump trading of tomorrow.
Well, bad example.
Bad example.
We see Galaxy Digital, and we see some people that got lucky, got in early on Ethereum and stuff like that. They've already started creating these new hedge funds, new exchanges, which are basically just the new financial institutions of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. We want to see our users succeed on PulseChain. I speak for myself. I'm sure Coffee feels the same way. The ultimate goal here is that everybody gets rich together. And I mean, I can see why Richard Hart had such a hard time on streams in the past, because he wants to just say to you, like, I'm literally pumping your bags, but at the same time, he can't, and you'll have all these rumors swirling around about what you're really up to. People have called him a scammer for years. I feel for the guy, because oftentimes the guys that are getting called a scammer are the only ones that are actually helping you.
People like to project, don't they? The people that were the scammers the whole time were the ones that shat on Richard the most. You know what I mean? It's kind of ironic. And then they all got exposed, I mean, Three Arrows Capital went down, Celsius went down, Mashinsky went down hard. And he was a big naysayer of stuff that Richard was building.
Huge.
And now people also don't realize that he's kind of got an unofficial gag order, I'm assuming, from his lawyers, right? Like, hey, dude, you can't talk about crypto publicly right now because anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm assuming that's why. And also, when bearish times are out there, you can live stream all you want. It's not going to necessarily change the world, the macro global world, from feeling scared, from feeling fear. So I think
here's the cool part about it, and this is why I love your content, Coffee, is because you're literally, even if you just touch one person through your videos in the bottom of a bear market and it alters their life substantially, you don't know what the downstream effects of that are going to be in that person's life. Like, here's a hypothetical. You could have helped somebody understand crypto to such a degree that they got in on something and then it went up 100x. And then they were able to put their kid through school, and that kid ended up inventing something that was world changing. Like, you don't understand how far your impact will be. So all you can do is get up every day and get out there and be passionate and excited about what you're trying to help people with.
I agree. And it's been disheartening at times, right? Because sometimes you look out there and you're just like, this is just a shit show. Crypto is so wrecked. Like, who's even listening here right now? But yeah, as long as there's somebody, and I've gotten that kind of feedback in the past, people have reached out, I'm sure to you as well, saying, hey man, look, if it wasn't because of your videos or you telling me about crypto, like my life would have been on a totally different trajectory, right? Time will tell. Kids are Hex is 5 years old, so if you had a baby when Hex was born, he's a 5-year-old now. And a lot of these dudes with kids out there, I don't have any yet, but they've got these savings accounts and things to be optimistic to look forward to, so, knowing that their kid's going to have enough money to go to college if they want to. If college is still relevant, who knows, right? But they're going to have enough money to get their kid the finest AI cyborg teacher that money can buy, right? And it all starts with the little decisions that you make now. So, congrats to anyone that's here.
I just I'm very excited for the PulseChain specifically. I'm going to be very happy for y'all. We'll all be celebrating, and it's not too much farther away. We'll all be celebrating. We'll all be richer. We'll all be happier. And then it's just a matter of I personally think that it shouldn't stop there. You should want to continue to accumulate bigger and bigger positions in crypto so that your quality of life is great and substantially and forever, right? And then that way that you guys that are here at the bottom that care, that actually want to be here for the long term, are able to come back in at the bottom of the next cycle and are able to come in and support the price and help this system go even farther. Like, we don't need another 99% drop, and I don't think we're going to get it next time. I think this was a very unique situation where we had like a triple bear market because of the different factors that was in play, such as the PulseChain launching, right? So it was just a different kind of a situation. But again, don't let your education journey stop there. Continue to grow your bags. It's all about units right now. Collect as many units as possible and just get in the game and get excited.
Yeah, I think the amount of people that have been rinsed out kind of showed. I mean, I want to get your opinion on this, right? But obviously, every crypto in its infancy, right? It's like a cult of personality. A lot of people, like Richard, thought he was some god figure, and that's the only reason they bought. They didn't really believe in anything else. They were just like, "Oh, this guy's pretty. I'm going to go with this guy." And to a degree, yeah, that's what I thought to myself as well. But I also sold myself on the idea and tried to understand the internal workings of everything and really understand what I was getting into. And I think we saw a lot of people wash themselves out or shake themselves out with fear, uncertainty, doubt, because maybe they didn't really understand what they were holding. Next cycle, hopefully we just have a higher floor and stronger believers.
That's right. We will. Mark my words, we will.
It's it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now we've got a multi-coin economy as well. Like, we've got not just Hex to rally behind, but luckily for us, all the stuff that we like, and shout out to the builders too. I think what a lot of builders are doing is a typical page in the playbook. I know this is what you're doing with Axis token by bonding it to all these other tokens, including PLS. This is what the UFO PTGC community is doing with the Grays currency. They understand liquidity bonding, and they understand that if they make their own ecosystems, they could all be reflexive or reflective, I guess, right? A lot of reflection tokens out there. And hopefully when one goes up, it boosts the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, it's as long as money stays in the system, all of them rise together. That's how the math works out. And it's funny because I started as a dude that looked at charts, and then I got into TA, and then Silver the Antidote took me under his wing and taught me liquidity. And he, by the way, Silver learned from Richard Hart directly how to do liquidity providing. And so I'm actually a second order student of Richard Hart through the lessons that he taught Silver the Antidote. Yeah. And then you get into the chain analysis, and that was another thing that Silver was deep in, was the chain analysis part. And I forget where I'm going with this, but it's very exciting that there's so much opportunity to learn. I mean, this is the future, guys. Like, just get involved and play the game and be a part of it. And I started with that stuff, right? And it's great. I've built this platform out, accessalive.com. And there's 120 people in the group, and we're all learning this stuff together, and I'm sharing my knowledge and information and experience, but I'm getting tugged in the direction of development. Like, I created this asset that went up billions of % against Pulse. I have a deeper and more thorough understanding of chain analysis and LP than most other people on the Pulse chain. I wouldn't say all of them. There's definitely some experts out there that are complementary or even better than me. Like Richard, I think, is 6 years ahead of me. And just in generally speaking, and he's not alone. There's got to be more. And But with all that, like I'm getting pulled in this direction toward development because I see all of these pockets and opportunities to make this thing that I've made that's very valuable, that's got like over $500,000 of backing right now, the potential to see that go to like $50 million of backing if I play my cards right. And so like it's super exciting to get into the development side of things and to start tweaking the knobs a little bit and try to create, you know, permissionless, immutable code that's going to make my users, you know, excel. Like it's so fun. It's just a great thing to be involved in.
Yeah.
And
Even just understanding like basic concepts, like if you can understand why it's more important in a bull market to be bonded to Ethereum, and it's more important in a bear market to be bonded to stable coins, you know, because that'll put you ahead of 90% of people. I also know, you know, you can look at Sushi, right? Sushi.com. They've got smart pools, smart liquidity pools that automatically reallocate to a range, a moving range that sets its positive and negative percentages based on the current price. So you don't have to manually take your liquidity out and put it back in, right? So that's some super advanced stuff you can learn about, or learn about Curve and Balancer and phux.io on PulseChain. These multi-coin, different weighted portfolio index fund type of liquidity pools can have very efficient routing if you're more bullish on one than the other, and if, you know, if things play out in your favor. But
I like to frame it as like, it doesn't take that much knowledge to really become a power user on PulseChain. There's just a couple things you need to know. Instead of going straight to PulseX just to swap every time, you know, maybe you want to look at quotes on Pitius.io, app.pitius.io, or maybe you want to go look at quotes on PHUX and you want to check out the quotes on 9inch. Or maybe you want to use
Pitius every time, like for all your trading, because it's going to route you through all the different liquidity pools. PIT.
Yeah, there are. So not to complicate things for you guys, but like there are instances where it is actually cheaper to just go right to PHUX and swap than it is to use Pitius, and I don't know why that is. Nope, not stablecoin pairs. Like for example, like if I'm swapping in and out of 2FUX, like you want to go to PHUX because I don't know why the order routes are better there. Like you get filled on more units. So just check and see what the output is. I always recommend, don't be lazy if you care about saving money. Like go to every exchange, including Pitius, the router, and just check and see which one you get the most output.
Interesting. Yeah. I thought the router was, I mean, 99% of the time it's probably the best route, but it is a work in progress too. I mean, I
V3 or V2 is coming. So for Pitius, like they're coming up with their next big thing that's going to actually make the system way more efficient.
They've been really awesome so far. So it's not like we're trashing Pitius.
No, I'm not trying. I have more swaps through Pitius than any other interface.
Right.
But I'm just saying to be careful because there are sometimes cases where there is actually a better deal somewhere else. But 9 out of 10 times I am using Pitius. So just to be clear.
I did notice that, like with the Impulse token back in the day, like wasn't routing correctly. IMPLS.finance, underrated yield farm, has been paying me out for over a year now. I think the yield's kind of dried up over there, but I told you guys about it 9 months ago. So congrats to anyone that's been sitting in that farm for a while. I think, you know, that's an auto compounder too. So it compounds your INC back into the 2 coins in your pair. You know, I don't know. I got to check in on IMPLS, but last I saw, I was about 5% APY, much dried up from what it used to be.
Yeah, I got a lot of like lasting thoughts. The future right now is in yield on PulseChain. In terms of what's going on PulseChain, you really want to tap into yield, or potentially, like now that we're at the bottom, you could maybe look into those lending protocols again, like
Earn and liquid loans
and those, because if you're starting a vault at the lows and then you use that, it's leverage, so be careful. But if you use it, there's potential there to multiply your stack that way. But generally speaking, I'm very much interested in the yield opportunities on 2FUX, 2PHUX.io.
Oh yeah,
and you know, obviously for obvious reasons, we have like a bit of a partnership with those guys, having one of the premier pools over there with the 2 Solid pool, but that 9inch.io for the exotic farms, and obviously still PulseX is the GOAT. So
yeah, I want to see 9inch become the meme coin hub and the multi-chain. Hexy Bastard super stoked about going multi-chain. Good for them. You know, they're already on Ethereum, and if they can reach out and just suck all the meme coin attention back to PulseChain, sounds good. Let's see if it plays out. PHUX for the tech bros, and the 2FUX for the even techier bros. I also wanted to just, man, I had a question that I just forgot.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, yield. You know, you're talking about yield. It's not even a question. I just want to tell people, there's people out there that trash talk yield as if it doesn't matter. And I can immediately tell that's why they're a broke pleb, right? If you think that crypto is all meme coin trading and you need a quick buck, right? And you need to turn your $500 into $5,000, go to B Roots, okay? Go to the people that actually know how to do that. But I also want to be talking to everybody, especially higher net worth individuals. If your bag is 6 figures plus, earning 30% APY on that should absolutely be exciting to you. Earning 30% APY on $500, of course that's boring. But if you're in that position, just focus on getting to a 5-figure bag. Then all of a sudden, if you let that accrue yield for a year, next thing you know, your bag will be 6 figures, even if the price has barely pumped at all. You know, the yield opportunities are so good, so exciting, that don't get caught in, I guess, the kind of broke mindset trap that, oh, yield's not enough to get me rich. I need a scratcher bet. I need a meme coin winner. You can play those games, but if you're going to do it, be an insider. Literally just be an insider. That's basically the alpha. And typically you want to get in these groups like Fine Crypto Network or B Roots, or I don't know. There's probably other ones out there. But also be careful that you're not in the wrong group, right? You could be in one of these meme coin groups, but you might be the new guy at the poker table, right? And everyone's taking your money. So
just my lasting thought is, make sure you guys as Richard Hart coin bags are set. Like, you know, obviously have a bag of ETH. Although a lot of Hexicans and PulseChain guys are like maybe a little underexposed to ETH, and we learned that lesson the hard way this cycle. But a lot of Hexicans did. They dumped their bags for years for ETH, and for the right reasons, I think. And hopefully we see a lot of that come back through the system and get redeployed when things get very bullish for the Richard Hart stuff. But ultimately, what I want to say is make sure your ETH bags are good, and then next step is make sure your RH core coins are good. Once those things are set and you're farming with PulseX, like maybe then you can start to dive into the more exotic stuff, because that does come with extra risk.
Well said, man. Well said. Yeah, we're at an hour. I hope this was valuable for you guys. I hope it was. Don't be scared about getting into crypto. Could change your life. It's changed all of our lives. We've been in it for 9 years? So
long time.
A lot of community members that are eager and ready and willing to help. So if you want to book a call with me too, hexpassiveincome.com, or if you just are brand new to crypto, I do have a course if you want to get that. It teaches you everything you need to know. If you know nothing about crypto, it'll get you to maybe an intermediate level. If you're already at an intermediate level and you want some more one-on-one attention, book a call. We'll see if, mentorship or anything is a good fit. So that's really all I have to say. Yeah, it's no fun to get rich alone, right? Let's all win as much as we can together, and don't shake yourself out of the lows. Don't worry, guys. I mean, we're going to be here for years. Crypto's not going anywhere, and this community in particular is only getting stronger. So
thanks so much for having me, Coffee. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next video.
All right. See you guys.